He was a financial advisor, and we were best mates. He was my best man at my wedding. And he introduced me to a guy, and this guy used to work for HMRC, the Inland Revenue. He was one of their tax inspectors, so he understood tax at a really detailed level. And I met him for the first time, nice enough guy, but he said to me, he said, I'd rather sit in my office reading tax manuals than have to talk to a human being. Do I want to have coffee or a beer with the guy? No. But do I want him on my team? Yes. Because he's thorough, he's detailed, he can give me the best advice. Do I want to spend my time learning tax at the level that he understands it? No. Because that would be a full-time, 24-hour-a-day job for me. That's not freedom. In the same way, mortgages. You want to buy the right property, you want the right mortgage. So there's been a lot of changes, especially since the financial crash in 2008, the global crash. A lot of changes to mortgages, a lot of changes to how lenders lend, and buy-to-let obviously took a bit of a hit for a while, then it started to come back. And it kept, well, this is quite interesting, I think. Why did it come back? Like buy-to-let mortgages took a hit, but they came back. Why? Because there's demand. Debt is a business. That's how they make money. They have to lend it. In the same way, like you've got money. Who's got money in the bank? You got money in the bank. What does the bank do with your money? Lend it out. They make it work for them. Actually, on that point, who's it making money for? Them. I like one of the quotes from Robert Kiyosaki. He said, poor people work for money. They exchange their time for money. Whereas rich people make their money work for them. Make your money work harder than you do. That's what you want to do. You want to do it right. So you need the right team around you. And like he's a football analogy. I'm not big on football. But let's say you play in a Sunday league football team. So it's very relaxed. The kind of people who play Sunday league, they go out on a Saturday night. They go out, have a few drinks. They might go grab a curry or something on the way home. And obviously, they wake up Sunday morning, it doesn't really matter how they feel, they somehow get to the pitch, they pull on their kit, and off they go and have a bit of a kick around. But let's say, for some reason, your Sunday League team tomorrow is going to go and play against a Premier League team. What are your chances of winning? Yeah, very little. But let's say you know Alex Ferguson, arguably one of the best football managers ever. And you ring Alex and say, Alex, I've got this dilemma. We're playing this Premier League team tomorrow and I want to win, can you help me? And he says yes. So who's he got on speed dial? Everybody. Ronaldo, Riggs, the whole works. And he rings him and says, hey, I need a favour. I want you to help a mate of mine out by playing in his team tomorrow. Make sure you're there, go play for him. So now it's you and a world-class team. What are your chances of winning? Pretty good now. Change the team, change the game. You want the right team around you. One of the things about working closely with Aaron and his company is you get the team, you get their team. So it's already done for you. But if you're going to do it yourself, then you want to know, how do you find the right people? How do you find the right mortgage broker? How do you find the right tax advisor? How do you find the right accountant? Because the wrong accountant can cost you money. You talk about cost. Some of the biggest mistakes are not to do with finding deals, they're to do with having the wrong advice. And I've seen that happen over and over and over again. So, expert team. All right, then, payment-wise. Proven profit multiplier we'll talk about later in terms of getting multiple returns for your property. The pay-to-play principles. Let's say you've got £100,000 equity in your bank, capital available. And I said to you now, would you feel comfortable lending your £100,000 to the person sat next to you? Not someone you came with, complete stranger, somebody sat next to you, yes or no? No. All right, so a little bit of a simple exercise. Please do this, please play full out. I'd like to turn to that person next to you and say to them, I trust the UK banks more than I trust you. Because that's what you're saying. But why? Why do you feel uncomfortable lending money to a complete stranger?
No guarantee.
No guarantee. You're not sure you'll get your money back. They might just run off with the money. But as property investors, and like property investors have been going on for hundreds of years, do you think that we all already have in place contracts, agreements, ways of ensuring that contractually everything remains strong and solid and secure? Do you think that exists?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it does. So it's knowing how to do it right, how to structure it correctly, so that it's a win-win for everybody. But at some point, you want to become your own bank. You want to know how to raise capital, and you want to be able to do it correctly in terms of having the right contracts in place. One of the great things about the UK, and this is what makes it very attractive to overseas investors. I'll give you an idea. A couple of years ago, we had it didn't last forever, but for the time it lasted, we were basically, I was a property sourcer, me and a friend of mine, and we were sourcing property for high net worth individuals overseas. So they wanted to invest in the UK, and they wanted to invest in parts of London and other parts of the UK. And one of the reasons that the UK is so attractive is because of the strength of our legal system. It's a very strong system. The Constitution obviously is used in the States, it's the basis of the American system, and a few other places around the world, but it's very strong. That makes it very attractive. If you've ever been to a country where the legal system isn't as strong, there are all sorts of problems. Like I've been watching, or I watched a little bit, there's a series on Netflix. It sounds like I watch a lot of TV, I don't, but there's a series on Netflix called Narcos, which you've seen, it's really good, it's like really hooks you. But I was watching this. What's interesting, of course, is it started with the Colombian, I think it was, what's he called, Pablo Escobar. So it started with Escobar in Colombia, who was making billions a month from cocaine. But if you're going to make billions a month from cocaine, and you've got to get it from Colombia to America, are you really going to do that without anybody noticing? No. So what tends to happen? You end up bribing the people you need to bribe. And obviously the bribes went all the way up to high government. That's not the best legal system. Does that make sense? So that's why, of course, the country has a lot of poverty, and most of the people are not living the way they want to live, and of course crime and obviously all the things that go with it. But the UK, very strong. That's why it's very, very attractive, and will remain so. No matter what happens, our system is very strong, therefore it remains attractive. So, so we're going to do a joint venture. Let me show you this. You're going to do a joint venture. There's three things that you need. In any joint venture, there needs to be money. So somebody needs to provide some money. There needs to be time. Somebody needs to have time available. So time to find deals, time to negotiate, time to deal with your team in terms of mortgage brokers, legal solicitors and so on. And if it's going to refurbish the property, then of course you need a team for doing the refurb, and you need to oversee and manage that as well. And then of course at some point, if you're going to let it, and you've got letting agents. So you need somebody with time. And then the other part of this, you need the skills, the knowledge, the experience. So all three things need to be present to create a joint venture which works for everyone. So the most common thing, of course, is you'll have somebody who has money but no time. So they want to find somebody who's got time and skills. And that's one way. So for example, if you're starting and you've got very little capital to start with, then having the skills and the time available allows you to create joint ventures and build a portfolio which is of benefit to both of you. So you need all three in place. The question then, of course, is, if you look at it in terms of, I like to measure things on a simple scale of 1 to 10, it makes it easy. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you out of 10 money-wise? Where are you out of 10 time-wise? And where are you out of 10 skills-wise? So obviously just mark yourself out of 10 on all those areas. So that gives you an idea of where you are now, because where you are now will determine your plan in terms of getting to the result you want. And then purchase. So stress-free let systems manage your properties from afar, giving you time freedom. And, I should have mentioned actually, within here, simple selection system, there are a number of strategies within property. I'm going to talk about the 5 prime ones, because of those 50 people that Aaron looked at, bar one of them, they all followed one of 5 principal strategies. So would it be of value to you to know what those strategies are, yes or no? Yes. So we'll talk about that after the first break. So knowing how to have your portfolio work without you, so the concept of a business, and then the purchase plan itself. terms of negotiating deals, how do you negotiate? Sorry, yeah, we're going to talk about that after lunch. So I'll show you how you do it, because it's easier to demonstrate it and show you how to take multiple profits out of your portfolio. So the purchase plan is how you negotiate. And then profit-wise, so two aspects of this. First of all, the personal profit producer. I do not believe, and I haven't seen it, I don't believe there's a one-size-fits-all. It doesn't work, because you're unique. You're unique in terms of where you're starting from, your circumstances, and you're potentially unique in terms of the goal that you actually want to achieve. So therefore, you need a plan that is customized to you. So you need to put together the right pieces and the right deals for your customized plan. That's what the personal profit producer is about. It's about making it customized to you personally. The time-tested toolkit, as I said, after lunch I'll show you the two key principles of tax, which if you follow them will make you tax efficient in terms of income tax, capital gains tax, and inheritance tax, whether you've got one property or you've got 100 properties. So that just works regardless. So I'll share those with you. Now, as I also said, I'm going to say this again, you'll hear me repeat this, I'm not a tax advisor. When we get to the tax section after lunch, usually it raises a lot of questions because people start thinking about their personal situation. I cannot tell you about your personal situation because it's unique to you. That's not my strength, that's not my skill. I can share the principle. David before mentioned this concept of extra stamp duty, clause 24. Everyone familiar with that? Oh, you've heard about it, I'm not saying you're familiar with it. And people start getting a little bit concerned about it. First of all, two things. We haven't got time to go into it in detail, but here's what we'll do. Firstly, understand, clause 24 is extra stamp duty on buying investment properties. From a political point of view, what the government's done, I think, is very smart, very clever. Because what they want to do is to be seen to their voting public to be doing something. So who's one of the areas that people like to have a go at? The rich. And then if you break that down, landlords. Landlords, like big bad landlords. Everybody complains. But of course, so the government needs to be seen to be doing something. So what do? They go, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to add extra 3% stamp duty to buy an investment property. And you go, oh my goodness, it's going to cost me more money. But actually, the government aren't stupid. They have think tanks, some of the smartest people on the planet in them. They know, well, let me ask you, what would happen if tomorrow there were no private landlords? No one having anywhere to live. It would be a major problem. They know that. They're not stupid. But they're being seen to do something against rogue landlords, bad landlords, and so on. But for every problem, do you think there's a solution? Yes, there is. So first of all, if you earn as an individual less than £50,000 a year, or as a couple less than £100,000 a year, clause 24 is not an issue for you. It doesn't apply. So relax. If you're beyond that, then there are different ways of structuring it. We don't have time to go into it today. However, Aaron did a webinar just on clause 24, where he explained the impact of it, who it affects, how it affects them, and what you can do differently about it. Would you like a copy of that webinar? Yeah? All right, so I will get that sent to you. Lara, can you take care of that? Thank you. So you'll get that sent to you. You can listen to Aaron talk about it in detail. He's a detailed process person. It's very thorough. It's very good. So that's that hopefully taken care of for you. So that's kind of the aspect of the whole of the area. So now we've gone from you don't know what you don't know to you do know what you don't know. Now you have awareness. Now you're on the right path. Now you know you need to be at a level 8, 9, or 10 in all of these 10 key areas in order to develop your plan and get you to the result. I'm here to help you get the result. I'm result focused. I'm here to help you win. That's what I do. I kick butt. I share ideas and strategies to get people to win. And I know for a fact there'll be people who don't like me. And they'll leave here today and they'll go home and their spouse will say, what did you do today? And they'll say, well, I went to this event. I met this guy called Paul. Fucking arsehole. He was trying to kick my butt all the way to financial freedom. That's cool. I'm happy with it. If I can make an impact on one person today, then I'm pleased. Hopefully more than one. So that's kind of the area. Now, so is this of value? Yeah, is it? Come on, I need some engagement. Is this of value?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so that's your whole Safe Secure portfolio plan. 10 areas, 10 key skills, 10 areas you need to develop. Now, let's switch. We're going to take a break in about 10 minutes. Let's just switch direction for a second. I got this out of a little book. I thought it was quite a nice little exercise. But the actual example we give you, I got from a little book. It's a guy, Darren, I can't remember his surname. It is Hardy, yeah, thank you. He's the person who's behind Success Magazine, you know the magazine? And he wrote a book, have you read it obviously, The Compound Effect? Yeah, it's a nice little book, isn't it? Only a little read it in a couple of hours easily, but it's got some nice stuff in it. But I got this out of there. Let's say I had a plank of wood and I laid down on the floor here. And I say, walk across the plank of the wood from one end to the other, you can have 10 pounds. Who's going to do it? Everybody. It's dead easy. But let's change the game slightly. Let's say we take the same plank of wood and we put it between two skyscrapers. And now, same plank of wood, it's just as wide, it's just as long, it hasn't changed. Who's now going to walk across it for 10 pounds? No one. What changed? Why? Risk. Risk reward. All of a sudden, before, there was no risk. Now it's like you want me to potentially die just for 10 pounds. No thank you. So you're not going to do it. But let's change the game again. So here's you. And now a bunch of terrorists storm the building. They're going floor by floor, killing everybody. Who's going across the plank? Yeah, everyone. And let's make it, even if you're still unsure, let's say you got your children with you. Who's going across the plank? Everyone. What changed? Your reason why. Human beings are emotional creatures. We're not Mr. Spocks, we're not logical, we're not Vulcans. We are emotional creatures. The way you feel will determine the decisions that you make. Your decisions will determine your actions, your behavior, and your actions and your behavior will determine the results you get. I have spoken to people all around the world, tens of tens of tens of people by this point, over the last 20 years. I see patterns. And I see people who tell me they want financial freedom, but how many actually do it? Very few. Why? Because they don't have a big enough reason why. So what should we know? So I want to take just a few minutes and get you started on this. So this is a simple exercise for you to do for you. What's your reason why? Now, I'm going to start it now. I suggest you finish it tonight before you go to sleep. Because if you don't finish it today, the chance of you doing it tomorrow, slim to nil. Because human beings are designed to procrastinate. You are wired for survival. Your oldest part of your brain still controls pretty much everything. Because we have a frontal lobe where we can think and rationalize and analyze, we think we're very smart. But actually, it's the older part of the brain, in evolutionary terms, that still controls things. So you're wired for survival. Well, here's what's interesting. If you're wired for survival and you're safe right now, what is your unconscious kind of saying to you? Stay where you are. But if you set a goal, and by definition a goal is something you don't already have, that requires a change, doesn't it? But if it requires a change, what then happens? Your unconscious goes, well, what do you want to do that for? You're safe, you're secure, the sun came up, it'll probably come up tomorrow, don't rock the boat. So you've actually got to overcome that in order to get to where you want to be. And then if you compound that, like if you went through the school system as it pretty much stands, you get to school, obviously you sit still, you don't talk, you don't copy, you just follow directions. What was that designed for? It was designed so you could go and get a job in a factory. That's what it was originally designed for. They needed compliance. And it hasn't really changed a lot. And the other thing, of course, is I grew up in a working class background. My dad was from Salford, my mum was from Manchester. So I grew up in Wythenshawe, that's the early parts of my life. Anybody seen Coronation Street? Yeah, that's Wythenshawe. So it's just like that. So that's where I started life. And then when my mum remarried, we moved to Rochdale. Anybody heard of Rochdale? Yeah, so obviously textile industry is where it started from. And very kind of Lancashire type city. But so we moved there, and my dad was very much, working class. My mum was very much working class. So actually my mum was the first person in her family, immediate family, to buy their own home. Like my grandparents lived in a council house their whole life. So they bought their first home. So her parents were really happy because of course that's progress as far as they're concerned. But then my parents wanted progress for me, and their way of seeing me out of what they had to get more was to work hard at school, get good grades and so on, and get a good job. That was their way of doing it. But my dad, of course, lived in this little bubble. And I remember having a conversation with him one day, and I was about 10 years of age, and he basically said, people like us don't become millionaires. And he believed that, so did he try? No, never. And when you're a little kid and you go in a sweet shop or a toy shop, what do you want? Everything. So as a little kid, I'd go in a sweet shop or a toy shop and I'd be like, Mum, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. And what would my mum say? No. And then she'd give me a reason. It's too expensive, we can't afford it. I heard that so often, I thought that was the family motto. And I had to break that conditioning, if you like, in order to get to where I wanted to be. Does that make sense, by the way? That's because we're not rational, we're not logical, we are emotional. This will help you do that. So I'd like to take a few minutes and think about, why do you want to be financially free? This is like putting fuel in the car. What is that fuel? Because if there's no fuel, the car ain't moving. What is your fuel? So why do you want to be financially free? What is your why to do in property? What will it allow you to do that you can't currently do? What will it mean in terms of being a role model to your children, for example?
When you say doing property, are you talking about people like buy-to-let investors or people flipping property? Different strategy?
Flipping is a very different strategy, yeah. But I'm going to give you an overview of, well, I've kind of made you aware of five major strategies that, as I said, the 50 people that Aaron looked at are doing. We'll go into a little bit more detail on 3 of them. But again, it's just kind of give you an awareness. So this year, for example, have you got holidays planned? Where do you want to go? What kind of experiences you want? What kind of experiences you want for your children? If they're younger, if they're grown up, do you want to take them with you? And then the other side of it, consequences, pain and pleasure. Pain can be very powerful. If you don't do this, what's going to happen? What's going to change? Where will you be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years if you do nothing? I'll give you another example. I mentioned Errol, who's become like a brother to me, and he's certainly been incredibly helpful to me, especially in business. In 2016, he was over in London, so he was coming up to me and said, why don't we meet up? Like, we'll go out for dinner and so on, we'll spend the day together. I said, great. So I came into London and we met up. He was staying at the Ritz Hotel, because he heard it was a good hotel, so we both stayed there. And it's very nice. So he stayed there, I met him there, and we said, oh, let's go find dinner. And Errol, by his own admission, he's 69 now, but by his own admission, he's not looked after his health particularly well during the years. So he said, I said, where do you want to go? He said, well, not anywhere particularly far. And just down, I don't know if you know London particularly well, but just down the road from the Ritz, near Green Park, there's a Hard Rock Cafe. I've been in a Hard Rock Cafe all over the world. They tend to be great restaurants. Turns out the one in London is shit. But anyway, we went there. So we went to the Hard Rock Cafe in London, had some food, you can call it that, and then we're heading back, and it's only like 200 yards from the Hard Rock Cafe to the Ritz. We stopped 4 times. And I'm really concerned, I think Errol's going to collapse. Like, something's not right. And I said, you okay? You okay? He goes, yeah. He said, it's all right. He said, I'm on my way to Palm Springs, California tomorrow. All going to be taken care of, it's all good. So we get back to the hotel, and we had a cup of tea and such like, and then I headed off home, it was getting late. And it was really great to catch up with him. The next day, he actually flew to Switzerland to begin with. He was handing out bonus checks to his team in Switzerland. And then he went from there straight to Palm Springs, to a clinic in Palm Springs. So a few days later, we're on Zoom and we're having another conversation. He's at this clinic, and they're now taking care of him. And what they did was, it's an amazing, amazing clinic, but they basically rebuilt his heart, or actually more accurately, they created the environment in which his heart could rebuild itself. So his heart had got to a point where it was something like 93% closed. So it's like it was a major issue. He would have died. So they did whatever they did, and his heart regrew, it rebuilt itself. Phenomenal, saved his life. But he was able to do that, why? Because he's got the means, he's got the money. It's not available on the NHS. That's why he had to fly out to California, and he spent whatever he spent on it, I mean $50,000 or something, but it saved his life. So I jokingly said before, I want to live to 180. I do. And you might think, well, you're crazy. Well, if I'm crazy, and go check this one out for yourself, there's a guy called Ray Kurzweil, He's the reason you've all got digital music on your phone. He's one of the smartest people on the planet. He's now working with Google. And not that he needs to, he's a very successful entrepreneur, but they're working on developing the next evolution of the brain. One of his other key areas is longevity of life. So he realized that health is digital, in the sense of it's an information technology-based product now. So health is all about information technology. So therefore, all the rules around information technology apply. So he's pumped millions into longevity research. The guys at Google have pumped millions into the same research. Jeff Bezos, who's the guy behind Amazon, has done exactly the same. Why are they all pumping so much money into longevity research? Because they want to live longer. Now, Ray Kurzweil has said that in the next 10 years, we will reach a point in medical science where you are technically immortal. In other words, for every year that you live, medical science can extend your life by more than a year. And not just length of life, but quality of life. One of the biggest industries that has grown over the last few years and will continue to grow is what? Health industry. Massive. We are living longer anyway. Back in after the Second World War, average life length for a white male, early 60s. If that. Now, 70s, somewhere around there, maybe 84, but push. And it's getting longer. But if you've got the ability, this might be one of your reasons. One of my reasons, I said to you, I've got a goal of how I want to look at 86. I want to look like that ongoingly. And I want to get to extend my life so I can have quality of life and have a fuller life and do more and help more people and help my kids. Maybe that's part of your reason why, certainly part of mine. So what are your reasons why? Who do you want to be a role model for? What do you want to do about your health long term as you go on into age? Big issues at the moment around dementia and things like that. They're all problems to be solved. Are they solving them? Well, they're definitely working on them. Will they come up with a solution? I believe they will. I want access to it. It won't be immediately available on the NHS, so I might need to pay for it, so that's part of my reason why. So what are your reasons why? On a scale of 1 to 10, how is important is financial freedom, where 1 is it'd be nice, and 10 is I absolutely have to do it. So just start writing, start making whatever your why is, finish it today before you go to bed. We're going to take a break. Three things maybe. I mentioned before about doubtless stresses and mastery. The reason things turned around for Aaron and for myself is because we made a commitment to mastery. Find the best, learn from the best, and implement it, take action. So my first question to all of you is, are you making a commitment to mastery, yes or no? Some of you are. Like, understand, at the end of the day, this is about you and your life. You need to make that commitment. I see it over and over again. The ones that commit to mastery are the ones that get there. Secondly, make a commitment to finishing your why before you go to bed tonight, because if you don't do it tonight, you won't do it. And thirdly, has this been of value so far? Yes. Cool. All right, so we're going to take a short break. It's just gone, just slightly over time. We've just gone past 11:15. Oh, yes. Actually, I'm being waved at. And let me introduce you to the team. So you probably saw them when you came in. Danny, Lara, and Matt. Do you want to come up front and just kind of talk a little bit about what you do? Who's going to kick off? Oh, no.
I'll kick off. Hey guys, I'm Danny. Any questions you have over the course of the day, just come and catch me. There will be lots. Paul tends not to answer as many questions because he drags the day on. But ask me as much as you want during the breaks, and I'll be happy to help.
Hi everybody, my name's Lara. I'm in charge of the mentorship programme, so if you've got any questions regarding that, please come and ask me.
My name's Matt. I can help you with questions about the mentorship stuff that we do, also with hands-free investing, so finding the right properties for you and helping you get what you want to be.
All right. So make use of the guys, make use of me while we're here today. Come and ask any questions you think. Yeah, yeah. And just before we go, this is Steve's plug. So Steve came on the mentorship program, so we won't take all the comments about it starts with a 3-day weekend, but it's actually a 12-month program, it's not just 3 days on your own. So a brilliant time, better people that could potentially do JVs with. Get around the right people, get in the right environment. You know, Jim Rohn talked about 5 people, but if you put yourself in an environment of people who are property investors, who have all got the same goal, all making genuine progress, you're more inspired and more likely to see it through. Don't try and do it all on your own, because it's too easy to kind of get distracted. So thanks again for that. So obviously you looked at all of that. His first property bought. Pam was quite interesting. She had a business, sold it, but it hadn't given her exactly the revenue she wanted to be able to live on for the rest of her life. So she realized she needed to do something a little bit different. So the Inside Group company does what they say on the tin. You can trust them to do what they say. Been established for a long time, massive industry knowledge, and I know I can leave them to grow my property portfolio. So she's using what's called the cash flow builder, which is a done-for-you service, so they build your portfolio. So since going through and learning their system, she's now bought 10 properties. So she's achieved a level of financial freedom. The portfolio's worth £1 million, and she's got cash flow of £20,000 a year in rental income, and she can release equity. On average, you'll see it's not linear, but on average another £37,000 a year. So that's £57,000 a year ongoingly. Who'd like another £57,000 a year in their life? Okay, cool. All right, let's take 20-minute breaks. After the break, we'll dive deeper into the key strategies, and more importantly, about how you select the strategy for you to follow. Okay? And as I said, after lunch, then we'll dive into tax. All right, take 20 minutes, get some water, take any kind of toilet break you need, and come back ready to learn.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, thank you. Sorry guys, can I just ask if we can empty the room just so people have left their belongings so we can get the doors locked and set up for next session, please? Thank you.
You can leave belongings.